time to look at some awesome animation here, okay? So let's start with Irina Almgren. I think I got that right. And she used this fun footage background here, and I think that's awesome. And this animation looks really smooth, really well done, really nicely done. And I love the way that it kind of lines up with this horizon line here at the bottom. Really nice colors, really sweet animation. I think it's so funny, like, every time I watch something like this, even though I taught you guys how to do this, the illusion completely works on me every time. Like, I just think of it as script writing on screen, and I don't think about it as like a whole bunch of little masks moving off and the specific specific frames and stuff. So, yeah, really great job here, Irina. And let's move on to John Gehagen. And let's see what John did. Really beautiful, really smooth. I think it's a tad fast, maybe, looking at it now. Really nice background. It really works well. We get some movement in there and some definite additional kind of secondary animation, but it doesn't distract at all from the main story. So great job. I think the one credit I'd probably give is that this yellow color here and the cyan background are a little bit similar, so there could be more contrast there. Definitely, when you see it with these dark stripes here, you could see that the contrast is really nice. Okay, great job, John. And let's move on to Kent Albin. And Kent did some really nice things here with texturing. And he actually even brought, I'm pretty sure he must have brought this into Illustrator to make this little additional kind of stroke part of the A, which is kind of cool. At first when I watched it, I thought it was kind of going backwards, but then the way it ends, it kind of moves your eye back toward the W here. So I think that's really clever. I will say that, I mean, obviously Kent is a designer. Sorry, Kent, because like I could just tell that he's a designer here. I will say that when you add strokes onto type, I mean, I think you did a really good job here, but you know, I would just make sure that it's like a little bit more rounded. To me, this looks a little like ovally and pinched, and almost the rest of this font has nice round curves in it. So whatever. Yeah, trying to add things into typefaces is really, really hard. So you did a good job on this. I thought the animation here looked, yeah, really, really nice. And, you know, it's got a lot of good flow to it. I think maybe this is a tad slow at the start. I'm not quite sure. Or it's just very linear or something. But there's something about the animation I think could be improved a little bit in terms of the flow. But again, really nice. The illusion's perfect. And this background work is really fun too. I think probably that should be animating more like while the word is animating and not kind of after it's done. Right on. Cool. Thanks, Kent. And let's look at this one from Maria Sanchez Fernandez. Yeah, this is really nicely done, really well done. I feel like this has got some really good flow throughout the whole thing, and it feels like some nice contrast. Like this stroke here, when this comes on, it's really slow, and then I feel like there's a little pause, and then the rest of the S comes on. I really like that. Yep. Really nicely done. Maybe the exclamation point's a little bit fast, and the background's really sweet, and I even appreciate the way you kind of lowered the opacity of the type, maybe like 5 or 10%, just so we can kind of see some of these elements through there. Really nice. Okay, great job. And let's look at this one from Simon Tan. Okay. Really nicely done, really well done. I think this background's really cool, and the bright colors are really fun, and it's got like a kind of this little like shine thing which happens here, which is also really fun. I think the word winds up being really, really massively big on screen. I think it could be a little smaller, but you're doing this kind of like push in thing. So I think maybe I would have started it just a little bit smaller in the first place and then pushed in. Okay, but great job, Simon, always. And last but not least, we have Steven, who was actually, I believe, the first person to turn his in. And let's see, this looks really nice. I think this has some really, really good flow in the animation. Yeah, really nicely flowing. And I really do like this background that you put on here and stuff. I like the halftone dots. I think it's kind of interesting the way that you have like the dots in the background kind of go out and then other ones come in. Might be a little strange. I don't know. And I also think that the grain that you put on here, which might be hard to see for you guys, It's very heavy and it's moving very quickly, and that's the kind of thing you might not have necessarily seen in After Effects, but might have been there when you rendered. The only other thing is, I'm not sure if you did this on purpose. I'm guessing you did, but it looks like the animation doesn't end, right? Because it just sort of like ends there, but I'm guessing you did that on purpose to keep these like fun stripes in there. So in any case, great job, Stephen, and great job to all of you. I thought really basically all of the awesome animations that were turned in really were awesome. So really good job, everybody. Thank you.